Okay, so you know how you guys been sending us all this stuff about like high intelligence and all that?
Yeah.
It's really made us think differently about this whole idea that being like super smart is, a guaranteed win.
Right.
Because what your sources actually like dive into is um, something way more interesting.
Definitely.
Like the fact that there can be all these hidden struggles that come with having, exceptional intelligence.
Yeah.
So that's exactly what we're going to get into today.
Totally.
We're going deep into, what some people might call the dark side of genius,
I like that.
to try to understand why people with these like incredible brains might face unique challenges in their lives.
Right. Makes sense.
And we're talking about things like, the trap of overthinking
Yeah.
constantly,
For sure.
feeling isolated socially,
Mm-hmm.
experiencing emotions like super intensely,
Right.
and even wrestling with these huge existential questions.
Yeah. All of that.
I mean, think about someone like Nikola Tesla,
Oh, yeah.
a total genius inventor. But he also lived a pretty solitary life,
Right.
or Virginia Woolf.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, her writing was brilliant, but she struggled with mental illness too.
Yeah.
And then there's Vincent van Gogh,
Right.
amazing artist.
Incredible.
But he hardly got any recognition while he was alive. It makes you wonder, right?
Yeah, it really does.
Why do these like extraordinary minds also seem so prone to these kinds of struggles?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is.
And it totally blows apart that simple idea that high intelligence equals automatic happiness and success.
Yeah, for sure.
What's really cool about the stuff you sent is how it shows intelligence as more than just brain power.
Yeah.
It's like the catalyst for certain ways of thinking and feeling.
Mhm.
And that can actually, create its own set of problems.
Right. It's kind of like a double-edged sword.
Exactly.
So let's jump into one of those patterns that your sources really highlighted.
Okay.
Overthinking.
Oh, yeah.
It's like this constant mental loop where you just keep analyzing everything way after you need to make a decision.
Totally. And the sources you sent actually have some pretty good explanations for why highly intelligent people do this so much.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's like they process information on this deeper, more intricate level.
Okay.
They see more layers, more possibilities, all these potential consequences that other people might not even think about.
I can see that.
It's super useful for, solving complex problems,
Yeah,
but it can be a real pain when it comes to everyday choices.
for sure.
It's like having a computer that's running all these complex calculations at once,
Mm-hmm.
even for something simple,
Right.
while everyone else is just doing basic math.
Oh, I like that analogy.
Yeah.
I mean, like that example, the sources about choosing a restaurant,
Yeah.
it's supposed to be a quick decision, right?
Right.
But suddenly it turns into this massive mental checklist.
Totally.
Like, what kind of food do they have?
Yeah.
Any dietary restrictions?
Mm.
Is the atmosphere good based on reviews? Even the best route and parking situation.
Oh, yeah. All of that.
It sounds kind of ridiculous when you say it out loud,
Yeah.
but I can totally see how that level of analysis for every little thing would be exhausting.
Absolutely exhausting.
And your sources call this decision fatigue, right?
Right.
It's like you're using up all your mental energy just by weighing endless options,
Exactly.
even for like the smallest decisions.
Yeah.
And then you're left with nothing for the important stuff.
Right.
So it's not just about what to eat.
No, not at all.
The sources talked about how this overthinking spills into relationships too,
Mm-hmm.
like constantly replaying conversations in your head,
Oh, yeah.
analyzing every little tone and word choice,
Right.
wondering if you said the right thing.
All the time.
Ugh, I can only imagine how much anxiety that would cause.
It can be a lot.
Yeah.
What's interesting is that all this self-analysis can actually erode your confidence.
Really?
Yeah, the constant questioning and second guessing. It can lead to serious worry and stress, like your sources said.
Right.
And sometimes when it becomes a chronic thing,
Mhm.
it can even be linked to anxiety disorders and OCD.
Wow. So it's not just about thinking more.
No.
It's about thinking in this like really repetitive and obsessive way.
Exactly.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's like this constant internal dialogue, a mind that never really shuts off,
Right.
which can be incredibly isolating in itself.
Yeah. And that actually brings us to another big theme from your sources.
Right.
Social isolation.
Right.
Or as they called it, the loneliness of genius.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
It's like this feeling of being totally out of sync with everyone around you.
Exactly. And the sources you sent really shed light on this.
Yeah.
Imagine constantly craving these deep intellectual conversations,
Mm-hmm. Like wanting to explore these big ideas.
Yeah.
But instead, you're stuck talking about things that feel superficial
Right.
or just not stimulating at all.
Totally.
Like that example they gave, talking about reality TV versus discussing quantum mechanics.
Oh, yeah.
Talk about a gap in intellectual engagement.
Huge gap.
It's like trying to have a deep conversation with someone who speaks a completely different language.
Yeah, exactly.
And the sources point out these two main responses that highly intelligent people often have.
Okay.
And both of them end up being isolating.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So the first one is like dumbing down your communication, filtering your thoughts and ideas to match the level of the conversation.
Right.
But your sources said that feels really fake and mentally drained.
Absolutely. The other option is to just be yourself.
Hmm.
Engage in discussions that actually interest you.
Sure.
But then you often end up feeling like an outsider
Yeah.
because you can't find anyone who shares your level of intellectual curiosity. It's tough.
It is.
And those historical examples you mentioned earlier really illustrate this point.
Oh, yeah.
Nikola Tesla,
Right.
visionary mind.
But he spent his later years pretty much alone.
Yeah.
Never really formed close relationships.
Sure.
And then there's Emily Dickinson, a brilliant writer.
Amazing writer.
But she mostly withdrew from society.
Right.
Her main connections was through letters.
That's right.
And the sources suggest this wasn't just a personal preference.
Yeah.
It was maybe a result of this fundamental difficulty in finding true intellectual companionship.
Yeah, like people who could really understand her.
Exactly.
And what's important to understand is that this isolation might start as a choice,
Okay.
like a conscious decision to focus on your intellectual pursuits or to seek out deeper, more meaningful connections.
Right.
But over time,
Yeah.
it can turn into this really painful reality
Oh, wow.
where you feel like you're just too different to ever truly belong.
That's heavy.
It is a heavy burden.
Yeah, and all this internal struggle obviously takes a toll on your mental state,
Right.
which leads us to another big challenge highlighted in your sources.
Okay, it's that.
Expectations.
Yeah.
Specifically, the weight of expectations that society puts on people labeled as gifted.
Right.
And it often starts really young.
Yeah, from childhood.
It's like this label that's supposed to be a compliment, but it can actually become a huge source of pressure
It totally can.
because being labeled as gifted creates all these assumptions
Yeah.
from parents, teachers,
Mhm.
society in general. There's this idea that high intelligence should equal effortless success in every area of life.
Right, like you should just be amazing at everything.
Exactly.
But here's the thing.
Yeah.
Intelligence doesn't make you immune to life's challenges.
Of course not.
Everyone faces obstacles. Everyone makes mistakes.
Everyone fails sometimes.
Exactly, even the most brilliant people.
And what happens when those people fail?
Well, that's when the disappointment from others can get really intense.
Oh, yeah.
Like way more intense than for someone who isn't considered gifted.
Right.
The sources you sent probably had examples of the kind of things they might hear.
Yeah. Like what?
You should have known better. Or, with all your intelligence, I expected more from you.
Yeah, that's harsh.
Or the classic, what happened to all that potential?
Ugh, that's rough.
It is.
And that kind of feedback can be really damaging.
Absolutely.
It can make you afraid to fail.
Totally.
And then you start striving for perfection all the time. And you become afraid to take risks.
Right, because the possibility of not meeting those often unrealistic expectations becomes like this huge psychological threat.
I get it.
It can really stifle creativity and initiative.
And that reminds me of Vincent van Gogh again.
Oh, yeah.
You know, an incredible artist.
Incredible.
But he only sold one painting while he was alive.
That's right.
And he died feeling like a failure.
It's so sad.
I know.
It just shows how societal expectations and lack of validation can really crush someone.
Yeah. Even someone with so much talent.
Exactly. It highlights this crucial difference between what you're capable of
Right.
and how society measures success.
Yeah. And for highly intelligent people who might have their own unique path.
The pressure to fit into those societal definitions of achievement can be incredibly suffocating.
Absolutely. And speaking of feeling suffocated,
Okay.
your sources also brought up something really surprising.
What's that?
The emotional intensity that many highly intelligent people experience.
Oh, yeah.
It's funny because there's this stereotype of the super smart person being like totally rational,
Right.
like almost emotionless.
Yeah, like a robot or something.
Yeah. But your sources paint a very different picture.
They do.
They suggest a strong connection between high intelligence and heightened emotional sensitivity.
That's interesting.
Yeah. It's like people with exceptional cognitive abilities. They experience the full range of emotions,
Mm-hmm.
both positive and negative,
Right.
but with this incredible depth and intensity.
Wow.
So it's like their capacity for understanding and analysis,
Yeah.
it also amplifies their emotional responses.
So they feel everything more strongly.
Exactly, both the good and the bad.
Yeah.
And your sources talked about this concept of existential depression,
Here.
which seems especially relevant here.
Yeah, it's not just regular sadness.
No.
It's this deeper kind of distress
Like,
that comes from this heightened awareness of the world's complexities.
like what?
All the suffering,
Hmm.
the
The
uncertainties.
big questions.
Exactly.
And they gave some examples of the kinds of existential questions that these people might grapple with.
Yeah. What were they?
Like, why is there so much suffering in the world?
Oh, yeah.
What is the real purpose of life?
Hmm.
Does anything we do really matter in the grand scheme of things?
Big questions.
Huge questions.
And those can lead to a lot of unease and even despair if you don't find some kind of resolution.
Yeah, for sure.
And it makes you think about people like Sylvia Plath and Robin Williams.
Yeah.
Both incredibly intelligent and both struggled with intense emotional challenges.
Yeah, it's tragic.
It is.
And it really challenges that whole idea of intelligence versus emotion. It's more like they're intertwined.
Totally intertwined.
It's as if their powerful minds can see both the beauty and the darkness of existence so clearly
Yeah.
that they experience both with its incredible intensity. It's a lot to carry.
It is.
And that leads us to the last piece of the puzzle,
Okay.
the existential crisis.
Right.
Your sources say that this constant questioning that comes with high intelligence,
Mm-hmm.
it can lead people down some pretty deep and potentially unsettling paths.
Yeah, because they don't just accept the world as it is.
Yeah.
They're always questioning it,
Mm-hmm.
looking for deeper meaning and understanding.
Right, and while that curiosity is what drives progress,
Yeah.
it can also open the door to some serious existential dilemmas,
To her.
for sure.
And your sources have some thought-provoking examples of the kinds of things they might ponder.
What were they?
Like the nature of consciousness,
Like
the
what?
mystery of free will,
Mm-hmm.
the possibility that happiness is just an illusion.
Wow, those are deep.
They are.
Not exactly light dinner conversation.
Definitely not.
And your sources suggest that wrestling with these big questions all the time
Yeah.
can make you feel detached from everyday life.
Right.
Like simple pleasures don't seem as enjoyable anymore
Yeah.
because you're so focused on the big unanswerable questions.
Exactly.
And then there's Friedrich Nietzsche.
Oh, yeah, the philosopher.
Yeah, he questioned the very foundations of human existence.
You did.
And he ended up having a mental breakdown.
That's right.
It's a reminder of how dangerous this kind of profound inquiry can be.
Yeah.
It's like the tool they use to dissect the universe
Mm-hmm.
can also turn inward and create this huge internal conflict. That's intense.
It is.
And your sources even suggested that in some cases,
Yeah.
high intelligence can go from being a helpful tool
Right.
to being a prison of endless questions,
Oh, wow.
trapping you in this cycle of inquiry that never really leads to any satisfying answers. So going back to our original question,
Yeah, okay.
is high intelligence a gift or a curse?
Yeah.
It sounds like the answer based on your sources is
Well,
it's both.
it's both.
Yeah, they paint a really complex picture.
They do?
They acknowledge the amazing potential that comes with high intelligence,
Of course.
for innovation, discovery, understanding,
Mm-hmm.
but they also highlight the very real emotional and psychological challenges that come with it.
Absolutely. And they emphasize this idea of balance.
Right.
Like, it's not enough to just be smart.
No.
You need to develop emotional resilience,
Yeah.
build strong social connections, and find a sense of purpose beyond just intellectual pursuits.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because intelligence alone doesn't guarantee happiness or fulfillment.
No, it doesn't.
It's about integrating your intellectual capacity with emotional well-being,
Okay.
having strong relationships, and
Yeah.
finding meaning in your life.
That's the recipe.
Yeah.
And if you're listening to this
Mhm.
and you've ever felt like your mind is just this constant, overwhelming place,
Right.
you are not alone.
Absolutely not.
These are real challenges that many highly intelligent people face.
Even if it's not always obvious to others.
Yeah.
And one last thought from your sources.
Okay.
They said maybe the truest measure of intelligence
Yeah.
isn't just how fast or complex you can think,
Okay.
but how well you can navigate the complexities of life itself
I like that.
with wisdom, resilience, and genuine connection.
That's beautiful.
It is.
It really makes you think about what we value and how we define success.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe the real measure of intelligence isn't just how well we think.
But how well we live.
So much to think about.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you for guiding us through this deep dive.
Of
It's been
course.
fascinating
It has.
and really insightful.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
I did.